Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be telling you about the time one man broke the entire art world. You see, it's the late 1900s. A German man sits in Berlin and stares at a painting he recently bought for lots of money. Now, apparently, according to him, it was said that that painting was made by a famous German artist. Now, he had bought that painting 10 years ago, but he was starting to doubt the truthfulness of that artwork. You see, the more he looked at it, the more he doubted. Was that really from some famous artist or was I just scammed? So, he decided to go and check it out with a pro art dealer. So he asked the pro art person, hey, can you check if this artwork is real? And the art person checked it and confirmed him that it was a fake. And he began questioning this because he began looking at other paintings which was sold from the same art dealer, and he saw they all were also scams. So he saw multiple paintings that were scams from one art dealer. So he talked to the police about this, and the police managed to track down that art dealer. But turns out the art dealer was innocent. He had bought these artworks from a source. But that was what the police needed to find, who this source was. So, after lots of looking at this, they couldn't find who he was. And at this point, it had been years. Why even bother? They thought. But little did they know, that guy was across Germany and he was gonna break the art world. Halfway across Germany, in a small little German town, a man named Wolfgang sits at his chair and picks up his paintbrush. He is gonna draw an artwork, but once he has finished his artwork, he is not gonna sign it with his name. He signs it with another famous artist's name. Now, why would he do that? Why would he do that, you might ask? Well, let me explain it to you. This man is that source. This man is gonna break the art world. You see, once he is now you see what his system is. He will find one random painting that has been lost at time, and he will draw his own recreation of that painting and sign it under that artist's name, and put some little razzle dazzle to make it seem truthful. And then he will give it to his wife, and he'll tell his wife to go show it to the local art dealer. Actually, they started like that, but when they began growing, they began doing it to two very big companies in Germany, or very big art dealer companies in Germany. These two companies sell auction very expensive artworks. So when Wolfgang's wife shows the painting to the art dealer shops, they obviously ask, how did you get this? I mean, you're a normal German person. How did you land on this very expensive artwork? But you see, they had mastered the art of lying. And the Wolfgang's wife came up with a perfect quotation mark way of saying how she got it. You see, most of the artworks sold came from a dude. A very famous dude, we call him Alfred, just for the example, okay? Now you see, all the pictures came from Alfred, a famous German artwork dealer and artist. You see, what he claimed was, let us first tell the truth and the lie. You see, let's first tell the truth. You see, Alfred was a famous artist in early Germany. But when the Nazis and Hitler took over, what happened was, they hated two things, modern and Jewish art. And guess what? Alfred was Jewish and he made modern art. So obviously they hated him. So they began persecuting him and destroying and making his arts lost to time. Eventually, Alfred had to flee Germany, and all his artworks disappeared. Some destroyed, some missing. But either way, that was pretty sad. So Wolfgang would make a recreation of that artwork, and what he'd do is he'd make his wife say it was from Alfred, or his real name, either way. Now you see, what happened was the art dealer shops pretty much took it. They took the lie, and but then they asked this question. Wait a minute. Now I see. How did you get access to Alfred's painting? Well, here is where the lies begin. You see, what he'd say is, turns out Alfred was friends, quotation mark, with for Wolfgang's wife's grandpa. And turns out, before he left, he gave the artworks to her grandpa to keep it safe and ran away from Germany. And his grandpa passed it down to her and her sister. Now, her sister would also go on these light trips and stuff. Now, you see, the shops bought it and began auctioning it. And due to this, they became millionaires and very, very rich people in total. But here is where it all went into a bad bump. You see, remember that whole investigation I started the story with? Well, you see, how did they find out that was a fake thing? You see, the person who gave it to them claimed it was from 1920, but it wasn't from 1920 because the pigment that was used in the artwork was most likely from the late 1950s. So, yeah, that wasn't cool. And they began investigating, and when Wolfgang, his wife, and his wife's sister heard this, they all ran off to France. Now, you see, when he was later asked, why did he run away from police investigations to France, he just claimed, quotation mark, that his daughter had a little brain disease like thing, and needed a change of environment. Yeah. But we clearly know that was a lie. Now, escaping that, he went to his own mansion in France. There, he continued his work, and he would sell it to local art dealers from another one of his friends. Now, things were going fine until it stopped going fine. You see, one day Wolfgang began painting another artwork, but it seemed pretty normal. He was drawing a red horse, and things were going pretty fine. But here's where it stopped going fine, when he actually began auctioning it. When he gave it to the company that had to auction it, the company asked for this. Give us actual evidence that your grandfather, or at least your ancestors, had the painting. Now this was very scary for them. You see, they seriously did not have a grandfather related to this whole thing. So they came up with the perfect solution. First of all, Wolfgang would buy an old vintage camera with an old vintage photo filter thing. And his wife would dress up in her grandma's dress and would print copies of the pictures he had sold and hang it up in frames onto that wall, and then would take a picture. This would make it perfectly seem from the early 1900s, and because of the unfocused camera, it made it seem like she was much older than she actually was, and it seemed very authentic that it was from the early 1900s. Now this was pretty good, but when they actually asked for a certificate, things got really weird. And when they also asked an art checker who had previously checked the art and confirmed it was true, but when it was actually fake, when they asked her for another checking of it, she went and saw that all of Albert's drawings or paintings will always have a little stamp at the side of it. Now, see, when she checked the stamp, it seemed pretty correct to her. But when she asked one of her friends, a guy who studied all of Alfred's life, he saw that it was a fake. It was a fake copy of the sticker, and this is where it got weird. The pigment in this painting was also after the time they claimed the painting was painted, and this went them on a rabbit hole. They began looking for other paintings that supposedly Albert had drawn, and he saw that all of them had the fake Albert sticker. They found 14 in total, and then they reported it to the police. And when the Germans got wind of this, they knew what to do. But here's the problem. Wolfgang had a mansion in France, and Germany couldn't just burst into that French mansion with guns and say, "Why, hello there, we're gonna arrest you on behalf of the German government in French soil." So yeah, not gonna happen, great. So he needs to be in German soil. Good news, and they could have cooperated with the French government, but here's the other problem. The French government was on holiday. So yeah, they need to find some kind of way to arrest him. And they found out the perfect way. Wolfgang had a villa in Germany. So they waited for him and his family to go to that villa and then arrested him. And when the trial happened, this is what happened. Rob and Wolfgang's wife both got 4 years in prison. Wolfgang's wife's sister, also part of this crime, got suspended. And lastly, Wolfgang himself got 6 years in prison. But this is an open prison, so 5 days of the week he could still work. Wolfgang went out of prison due to parole and is now making artworks that is signed with himself. But still, even though he pled guilty and his other compadres went guilty for those 15 or 14 artworks, who knows how many more of those fake artworks are still in circulation today, claiming to be real. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how one man broke the art world. See you soon, folks.